teachers in, the principal, anybody that we have who's willing to stand up and testify. Because based on that instruction that the judge allowed about provocation, I am not hopeful that he's going to get a light sentence. Because the fact that the judge allowed that slight evidence to say that there was enough provocation to give that to the jury, I believe we're looking at a harsh sentence here.
According to Cody, in the courtroom, both sides have waived an opportunity for opening statements in this penalty phase. The state immediately rested in the penalty phase. The first witness for the defense is Kayla Hayes, which is Karmelo Anthony's mother. She is crying. Cody says she is having a difficult time with her.
Extra absorbent, even for your messiest meals. Vanity Fair napkins. Elevate every day.
Restream, one live stream, 30 plus destinations. If you want to multi-stream, go to Restream.
Mercy on my son. Sonny, gut-wrenching for a mother.
Very. Yes. As the mother of 2 sons and 2 daughters, this is not a moment that any one of us wants to be in. Just like the Metcalf family, if it was reversed, nobody wants to be here in this moment. We all think we might know how to react. I remember when I found out my daughter was a victim. You don't know what you are going to do, how you're going to say it, how you're going to be in the moment until you are in the moment. But I do agree with Judge. We are looking at a harsh sentence. I said, I believe we're going to start at 25. I don't think there will be any mercy. I know they are doing the mitigation, trying to get everyone up. But at this point, I don't believe anyone will hear that. This jury came back so fast. I just think they have already set in their mind what the number is going to be, and the judge is going to do that. He committed a crime. Someone is dead. Austin is dead. I still think it was not intentional, and yet here we are. I did not think they're going to come back with a not guilty verdict. I did not believe that. I didn't think that would fit.
Right. I got to cut you off, Sonny. Cody saying that the cross-examination of Karmelo's mother, and the direct was very short. Basically, they just wanted her to get up there and say, please have mercy on my son, after saying that she loved him. The cross by the state was equally as short. The only question asked of Karmelo Anthony's mother, you'll always be a part of your son's life. You are a mother. You love him very much, correct? Meaning, no matter what, if he spends years in prison, you're going to visit him. That's the insinuation for this jury.
Yeah.
Cody now says both sides have rested in the punishment phase, so you had no arguments from either side and only one witness. Judge Bando, I would have had an army of people ready to go.
Are you kidding me? I would have had because if you're practicing in Texas, you know the drill. You have all the PE coaches, the Boy Scouts, everybody's in the hallway ready to go. We're on standby, we know this is happening. I am so highly disappointed that the only witness that they offered for mitigation is just his mom.
Yeah.
No, we need other people. We need the whole community to say, this is a good kid. Judge, this is why the sentence should be this. Can we get an appeal bond while he's waiting? This is not the typical scenario. I'm highly dissatisfied that there's only one witness in this. This is so disappointing.
Michael Jafer,
are they setting themselves up an ineffective claim?
That adds to the appeal, ineffective assistance right now. He's a 3.7. Yes, the jury heard about that during testimony early on, but this is the opportunity to get the math teacher on. This is get the jury to remember the good side of this, because they came back in under 3 hours and gave him the top charge of murder. Your thoughts on one witness and no close?
Effective assistance of counsel written all over it. I don't know how we got to this point. I'm still very, very, very stunned. And I want to congratulate the dumb, stupid judge on this case for keeping the cameras outside of the courtroom. We all know as attorneys and judges that the courtroom is the province, it's the stage of society. How dare you, sir? How dare you not allow the courtroom to have cameras. How dare you? You understand what you've done to your community. And this is now not just a Texas problem, it's an American problem. This is unbelievable. I'm stunned. I'm shocked. This was not a rape case. This was a case that needed cameras in the courtroom. I'm stunned right now. I'm honestly at a loss for words. Somebody more intelligent than me is going to have to explain to me why I'm the one that's dumb for saying that this judge is dumb.
Okay, well, let's get a break. Again, the breaking news. The jury now has the case again, this time for the punishment phase. The same jury that found him guilty now has to decide what to do with Karmelo Anthony. 5 is the low end, 99 years is the high end. Our continuing coverage from McKinney, Texas continues right after this.
Getting beat up. Like, what should they do in that situation? If you don't want to answer, let me use that. You're just walking on the street and somebody beating you up.
Well, so the jury has come back within 3 hours to a verdict of murder for Karmelo Anthony. This is a shame. Any other person, they would have said they were standing their ground. So the law, we know, works for some people and not for others. So this is outside of the courtroom. But this is ridiculous. It is truly ridiculous. They came to jump this young man. This young man defended himself. And this is what happens. So he can get as low as 5 years and as much as 99 years. I was just having this talk with a little girl in my daycare. How things are not fair. And how to learn how to self-regulate. This is something. So this is outside the courtroom. So we got a break going on here. But I wanted to come on, I pray for this young man. This is ridiculous because, those children were bullies. But we know there is really, justice for Black people is not the same justice for white people. Not here in the United States, it's not. Yes, Lord.
So the foundation of the world was laid.
Today
is your opportunity. Tomorrow you may not get it. Life is passing away.
Yes.
Life is fleeting.
This is outside the courthouse.
Temporary.
And the lady said, if we're going to protest anything, we should protest.
Your body is temporary. Your job is temporary.
Yes.
Your career is temporary.
That's right.
Your money
is temporary. Amen.
You won't be able to take any of that with you on the day of judgment. You're going to leave it all here. And you waste so much time investing in something that is temporary. But that which is eternal, which is life in Jesus Christ, this is what you want to invest in. So today, before you leave this courthouse, hear your way to Jesus Christ. We are all still
the lady is telling people to give their life to the Lord. That's what she's rambling about. She said, if we're going to protest anything, we should protest sin. That's what she's rambling about.
Welcome back to Court TV Live and our continuing coverage of the breaking news out of the state of Texas. Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty of the top charge of murder by a jury.
With Potbelly's Pick Your Pair, you choose from hundreds of pairs for whatever you're craving.
The Ken Nunn Law Office fights hard for their clients. All you have to do is call. It's just that easy.
After the verdict was read, they went immediately into the penalty phase. The same jury that found Karmelo Anthony guilty now will decide his penalty. The range is anywhere from 5 years up to 99 years. They are currently on a break, a quick recess before they enter the charge conference where the jury will be given some instructions before sent back to the deliberation room to decide Karmelo's fate, basically. Both sides said no to the opportunity to address the jury during the sentencing phase. They could have done an opening statement, could have called witnesses, and could have done a closing argument. Both sides said no to the arguments in the statement. The only witness that was called was from the defense. It was Karmelo's mother, who briefly testified, saying that she loved her son. He was her firstborn, and she pleaded with the jury to please have mercy on her son. The state came back with a short cross-examination to say, well, you love your son, don't you? And you'll always love him no matter what, correct? Insinuating that a long prison sentence is not a problem. He'll always have his mother's love. So now it'll be up to this same jury. We're digesting the verdict and looking to these next steps. And we're also monitoring what's going on outside of the courthouse here in McKinney, Texas. A large gathering has assembled. And this has been
there's only one God. So the God
each and every
that is
day
the Father of Jesus
trial.
Christ. Okay?
However, there are more people. Our Cody Thomas said today, as the case wound down, the closing arguments were presented, and the jury received the case. The crowd started to grow, and that's where we're at now. The initial reaction, of course, with many in attendance, was disappointment, but there were others there who were undoubtedly pleased. Both sides have been represented outside of the courthouse. Judge Kimberly Bando is with us, along with Sonny Slaughter. We've been all watching this play out through the eyes of our Cody Thomas, because again, there's no camera in this courtroom. And it is hard to understand the defense strategy here in the penalty phase. Both of you shaking your heads. Sonny, you first. Real opportunity to bring Karmelo to life. You know, he didn't testify. That makes a difference. He's a young man, and it just seems with what we know about him, which was presented, 3.7 grade point, going, you know, he was on his way to college. He was a two-sport athlete, no criminal record, didn't have, he's not, he should be, those things should be accentuated during the penalty phase and reminded to the jury, hey, listen, this, before you go back there. Didn't happen, Sonny.
No, it didn't happen. And the mother, she is being a mom, but she really should have been prepped to really talk to the Metcalf family and the jury about not just who her son was, but who he could be. And that in a moment of irrational thinking, he did the unthinkable. But that's not who my son is. And none of them were there. None of us were there. And we don't know what actually happened. We only know what people perceive to have happened, but that's not my child. My child has deep regret. My family has deep regret. He is a scholar. He has the opportunity to turn his life around. She needed to be talking about her son in the future to get them to see who he could be outside of this. And she was not prepped and ready for that. What she said was not enough to change anything. She also should have been speaking to the fact that what is going to happen outside, that everybody need to calm down. So that could also be relayed. There's so much in a mitigation part of a case, family members, siblings. I know, because I've been there. They could have done this differently. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, to
They
your
just could've
point,
done
this is a live picture outside of the Collin County Courthouse where there's been versions of this throughout where you have both sides coming face to face. It's unfortunate. The verdict's in. There's really no need, Kimberly, for this. Frankly, what's the white guy arguing now here? Like he's trying to. It's a powder keg, and if this jury comes back with a very, very long sentence, it's going to be even worse.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we were on that break. This would have been actually a perfect time for us to hear from Karmelo. They should have put Karmelo up on the stand and let us see who he is. Let the jury read his demeanor, see him in his genuine form about how because at this point he's been convicted. So this was the opportunity for the jury and the defense to take advantage of and let Karmelo Anthony speak for himself at this point. I really think they should have at least put Karmelo up, if not just because his mother alone, we already know what his mother's going to say, that she loves him, he's a good kid. At this point, we should hear from Karmelo to see how he feels, if he's remorseful. That's going to make a difference when this jury decides how many years to sentence him to. Let us hear from him. I'm just so incredibly disappointed with the defense strategy of only putting up his mother and not hearing from anyone else, no other character witnesses. I just think was a disservice to Karmelo.
Yeah, and they had the opportunity to put him out in the guilt phase. That's one decision. That's a different decision because of the cross-examination. Here in the penalty phase, it is a much easier route. You're going, but someone had to bring this kid to life more so than just through opening statements through your attorney. And a few witnesses that talked about his education during the case in chief. But this is it. This is sentencing time. These individuals are easily swayed. They're people in the public, and they all could be touched. But you got to go and touch them, Sonny. You got to go try and remind them of the things that this kid does have going for him. A horrible decision on a horrible day, but even the initial officer that interacted with Karmelo said he did right away. He said, "I'm the guy. It's not alleged. I stabbed him. He admits it. Then he says it was self-defense. So he throws up but then the third thing he says is, how is he doing? Is he going to be okay? And it was one stab. It wasn't multiple. A refresher course would have been nice, Sonny.
Yes. And I also don't think that when he stabbed him with that knife, most of the time, he's 17 years old at the time. He didn't probably think that knife and where he stabbed him was going to do anything but hurt him, get him to stop, but not die. And because most of the time, young people don't even have that type of presence of mind unless they have a gun or something. But this is horrible. There are going to be a lot of people cheering for a very long sentence, but we don't know what the appeal could potentially look like. But I just really think that the defense team, as somebody who works for defense, I just don't think they gave their all. I don't think they did the type of job that was necessary for this type of case. And remember, I'm not saying Karmelo was innocent, because he was not. But I am saying that I just think this came back quick. I think it's going to be a high sentence. And I just don't think that the defense did everything that it could possibly do to mitigate a...
Sparkle costs less and is just right for everyday messes.
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix, you can grab your...
And we'll be able to come down and brief us from his vantage point of what happened during the reading of the verdict. And then that very short sentencing phase, one witness, no arguments, and now the same jury who found Karmelo Anthony guilty will be tasked with deciding what to do. What is the right punishment? There is a huge, gaping void here between 5 years on the low end and 99 years on the top end. So this jury, who took less than 3 hours to decide that Karmelo Anthony was guilty of the top charge of murder, now has to decide where to land that between the 5 and the 99. Let's get a break. When we come back, we'll be checking in with our Cody Thomas. All of the reaction. He said in his notes that he could feel the tension in the courtroom. He's going to join us when we return. Stay with us.
Okay. So we hear the verdict is guilty, and they're in the sentencing phase, and they can sentence Karmelo, who is what, 15, 16, from 5 years to 99 years. And they are pointing out all the things that should have been done, like things that should have been said, because he's already been found guilty. So the same jury that found him guilty is going to come back with his sentence. And again, this is Karmelo Anthony, the young man who is a scholar. I think he just graduated. So maybe, I don't know if this happened when he was 15 or 16, or it happened last year, but I think he just graduated high school, if I'm not mistaken. So give me 1 second here. Sorry about that. But yeah, this young man, I don't know if it happened last year or the year before, but supposedly that these boys, 4 of them, tried to jump him. And as they were pushing back and forth, I guess he reached and got whatever equipment that is kind of like a knife and stabbed the other guy in the chest, who bled out. So it's sad all the way around, but justice for us is not justice for like everyone else. We have the case of just here. It's, just I guess it depends on what state you're from. We have the child man who got away with offing the kid. Kid didn't steal nothing, didn't pose a threat. But yeah, it happened. So I don't know. So we're standing by here waiting to find out what the sentence is going to be. I sure hope they, this young man is not, man, this is sad. Because here, I always say try to defend yourself, because if someone tries to take you out, like my uncles, and they say, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. But just to know you were going to probably be jumped, I'd have been jumped before. I don't know if I would have, let's try to use a weapon like that. Maybe if it wouldn't have happened on school grounds and they were somewhere else and he used something like that, maybe it would probably be looked at differently. I don't know. I just feel terribly sad because I don't believe this young man deserved that type of time. Any other case, he would have been defending himself. What y'all think? Hold on, so somebody at my door.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We're continuing to follow the breaking news out of the state of Texas. In McKinney, Texas, where a jury found Karmelo Anthony guilty of the top charge of murder for the death of Austin Metcalf, the stabbing death at a track meet last year. The same jury now will decide the defendant's fate. 5 years on the low end, 99 on the high end. This all took place, of course, outside of our view because cameras were not allowed in this case. But Cody Thomas was in the courtroom. He now joins us from outside the courthouse. Cody, take us through it, starting with the verdict itself. Set the scene, if you would.
Yeah, Ted, that's the big headline today, right? The verdict, guilty of that top charge of murder. And as you just stated, 5 to 99 years behind bars. We were sitting in there. We were waiting for that verdict to come in. We reconvened once they let us know it was happening. We sat in there, waited for those parties to come back in, and then that verdict was read. And of course, we know the jury had the option of manslaughter if they chose that, but they did not. Clearly, they did not see this as self-defense. They thought this was murder. They thought he went in there, in the altercation, there was intention behind what he did, because they really outlined the definition of murder before the jury went back to deliberate, that it was the deliberate, the intentional cause of harm or death by another person. So that's the way the jury saw it. And of course, Ted, the reaction in the courtroom, there was tears on both sides, obviously for two different reasons. The Metcalf side feels that there's been, vindication for their son's death. There's been justice served. But on the Karmelo side, of course, now Karmelo's going to jail for a very long time. We'll be seeing his family through plexiglass for a very long time. It's just sad all the way around. I'm observing both sides, of course. Again, tears from the Metcalf family, tears from that side. Karmelo just looking very shocked. They brought him out and they, informed him that he's been reprimanded by the state of Texas. And then he went out for a little bit while they did a quick, they went out and then they reconvened for a punishment phase, a quick little punishment phase. His mother got on the stand for a few minutes just saying, asking the jury to please have mercy on her son, saying that she feels she knows her baby. She will always love her baby, and feels that he does regret this. He's very sorry. That's what she said. It was only about a 3 to 4 minute time on the witness stand for that punishment phase. The state rested during that punishment phase. She was the only witness called. And then Karmelo, as she was talking, she was crying. Obviously, he had his head down crying. But when he walked back in the room before she took the stand, Ted, he just had a very shocked look on his face, like, this is real now, because we know he's been out on bond the whole time, which of course is a very real situation, but it's hard for it to sink in when you've been at home, not behind bars for the past year and some change. But now he'll never be able to walk inside his home again. So of course, a lot of emotion out here outside the courthouse here, Ted. A lot of, differing opinions, but everything's seemingly civil for right now. Of course, there's a little bit of yelling. There's some people with megaphones. There's a bit of shouting, but everything's kind of tame right now. You can see that there are several sheriff's cars behind me. The security has been amped up a little bit, but it's a heavy scene here outside this Collin County Courthouse, Ted.
Yeah, I would imagine. Both sides were given an opportunity to argue in front of the jury during the penalty phase, and both sides declined that opportunity.
Yeah, they both declined statements to make, opening statements. They just went straight into the witnesses, which there's only the one singular witness, which was Karmelo's mother. There was no arguments back and forth. The defense asked a couple of questions. Do you feel that Karmelo regrets this? She says, yes, I know my son. He's very sorry about this. I just want the court to, have mercy on him. And then the state, if you call it a cross-examination, all he said was, that you will still be a part of your son's life as any other mother on this earth. We know you love.
An elegant touch for an everyday meal. Vanity Fair napkins. Elevate every day.
Start your nursing journey with confidence at WGU. Our pre-licensure BSN program is CCNE accredited and lets you earn a BSN and become an RN all in one program. Learn more by visiting wgu.edu.
Of course, on the Karmelo side, a lot of tears on the Metcalf side as well. So emotion on both sides here. And of course, emotion outside this courthouse. Got a little crowd building up out here right now in the parking lot, Ted.
Yeah, and this was the first time that Hunter Metcalf was in the courtroom. Of course, the twin that lost his brother for such a horrible, nonsensical reason at a track meet. They were both competing. Any observations about Hunter? Because this is the first time he's been in the courtroom. He wasn't called as a witness. What can you tell us?
Yeah, first time we saw him, Ted, and a lot of we were expecting him to be called under the prosecution's case. We thought that was going to be probably one of the final witnesses to kind of end their case with the bang, but they never called him. And, we kind of assumed that because he wasn't inside the courtroom throughout the duration of the trial, and we know testifying witnesses cannot be inside the courtroom in the gallery while other witnesses are testifying. So that's why people thought he was going to take the stand, but of course he ultimately did not. But we saw him walk in today, a little expressionless, kind of walked in, sat with his mom and dad. And once his verdict came down, there was some celebratory gestures on the Metcalf side, and then, of course, a lot of tight hugs and everything. But we only saw him for those brief minutes there before both sides eventually left the gallery and presumably left this courthouse now. We don't know if they're in the back room somewhere, but they walked out of the courtroom, of course.
What happens now? The jury will be charged again with some brief instructions, I assume, before deliberations begin?
Yeah, that's what's happening right now, Ted. They're having a charge conference right now, and then they'll go back there and then deliberate the punishment. So that's where we're at right now. That's why I was able to come out here and give this update to make sure our viewers are updated on the latest and greatest facts that come out of this case. But yeah, that's what they're doing right now. The attorneys are having a charge conference. Then it will go to that jury so they can deliberate what the fate will be of Karmelo Anthony. Of course, with that charge, he's facing 5 to 99 years behind bars. Very serious offense here, Ted, that he's now been convicted of.
Yeah, that's the top charge against him. 5 to 99. Life without parole is not on the table, though, because of his age, correct? And so this jury will decide that number to which he will be eligible for parole and or serve. I saw you looking to the side there. Things are quiet. We've seen different versions of, people in each other's faces, then sort of relaxed. Are people leaving, going home, or staying?
No, they're still congregating on both sides. There's kind of this, trying to describe it to you, right in front of the courthouse, there's kind of this middle road. There's middle road and some medians on both sides, but that middle road's kind of blocked off, and they're kind of in front of the barricades here with, I'm counting, roughly a dozen sheriff's deputies out here making sure that the peace is still here, but they're yelling across the way at each other. Of course, the opposing, the opposing sides here, whether they're for the Metcalf family, for the Karmelo Anthony family. So they're over here now. It's, I don't know, maybe 100 people out here. Of course, some of them don't want to get in the song. It's safe.
And that has been the case throughout. This jury's worked very hard. And the judge has kept a very rapid pace. We thought maybe this case would go at least through the end of this week, but here we are on Tuesday and already wrapping it up. Even a 9-hour session on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we started on Thursday when the official testimony started. Jury selection was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got underway on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 9 days each, minimal breaks, only 40-minute lunch breaks and a couple of 10-minute afternoon breaks. So the pedal was to the metal here during this case, Ted. We were all kind of shocked when the state rested after only 21 witnesses on Saturday, and then the defense called 3 witnesses Saturday. They called 3 witnesses Monday morning. And then they rested kind of abruptly yesterday, so they only called 6 witnesses. And of course, like you just said, we expected this to run through the end of the week, but here we are on Tuesday, and the verdict, in the early afternoon. So there was a really rapid pace here, and they're already getting into the punishment phase. Well, they've gone through the punishment phase, now they're going to get to the sentencing phase. So they're really trying to put a bow on this thing, and I guess for this community to move on and continue to heal on both sides of the spectrum here.
Will you get notification if, when a verdict has been reached in terms of the penalty phase?
Absolutely. I'll be there inside giving you the latest, Ted. I'll get a notification. We're on a thread here. All the media will know when to go back inside, when to be in there promptly, when they're done with that charge conference, and when they hand that off to the jury to begin deliberating. So, of course, when I get information, you guys will get information.
All right, which has been the case throughout. And Cody Thomas has been our eyes and ears in this case with no camera. Cody, thank you as well, doing a fantastic job for us, bringing the courtroom to life, including the guilty verdict and then the very short sentencing phase in this case. Sonny Slaughter is along with Judge Kimberly Mando, both still with us. And from a person watching, there was no way Kimberly, that he was going to be found not guilty. I mean, he brought a knife to a fist fight. Let's face it, yes, 17-year-old young man, brain was working, whatever. But please, you can't respond to somebody pushing you by killing them. So it can't be a surprise completely that this was the jury's verdict.
No, it was. Yes, so it was not a surprise that they were going to find him with some criminal culpability. Yes, he admitted that he did it. So the question was whether this was a reckless act or was it intentional, that I intend to murder him. And I don't think that that was the evidence or what his intent was. It was reckless, it was irresponsible. Yes, and that's why I think that manslaughter charge was appropriate for this scenario. I do not believe that he woke up that morning and decided that he wanted to murder someone with a 3.5-inch pocket knife. So I'm surprised by the murder verdict. I was not surprised that he would get found guilty of something today.
Sonny, the self-defense argument obviously didn't land with this jury, and there were so many options that he did have, even at his young age, and you can argue what he thought was imposing the Metcalf brothers, but the idea that this was self-defense might have been the wrong route for the defense to have taken in terms of their message to this jury, that he had so many other choices to make, including doing nothing. There was adults, coaches, people. They're not just by themselves walking down to some street. There were so many avenues away. The idea of self-defense, do you think that obviously it didn't hit with the jury, but could it have pushed them to all agree collectively very quickly, like, no, we don't believe that this was self-defense, rather than go with another form of manslaughter as your defense?
Well, I think the self-defense was the right one. However, as we were having our break, one of our other court TV and one of my longtime friends from Law and Crime, Bob Mata, he was texting me because he's watching it, along with so many of our court TV analysts. And he said that the defense, and he is right, had the opportunity to raise the adequate cause. He said at the punishment stage of the trial, the defendant may raise the issue as to whether he caused the death under immediate influence of sudden passion arising from adequate cause. If the defendant proves the issue in the affirmative by preponderance of the evidence that the offense is a felony of the second degree. Now, this is under their statute. So he could have raised the sudden passion, the defense could have, and it would have talked about the provocation that they alluded to by the individual killed or another acting person that was killed. So I just don't think that, I think the self-defense was the right defense, but I don't think that
I was hurt, I couldn't work, and it was stressful. But after I called the Ken Nunn Law Office, everything got a lot easier.
Addressing the issue. And they didn't do anything at the mitigation phase.
Yeah, well,
at this point, we're here.
We're going off of the reporting out of the courtroom. We didn't watch it in real time the way the juries did, and they didn't take them long. Less than 3 hours. Given the amount of testimony that they absorbed, they came back with that top charge. So the state did an excellent job, you could argue, in their presentation of this evidence. And now it is up to the same jury to decide the fate of Karmelo Anthony in terms of penalty, 5 to 99 years. It's a big decision. And we will wait for Cody to get that text. And as soon as he does, we will pass along what this jury decides in terms of penalty. For now, we're going to get a commercial break, and then we're going to switch over to Florida. The other case that we've been just glued to today, the George Pino case. The surviving kids that were on this boat have been taking the stand. The father of Lucy Fernandez, who lost her life, testified earlier today. It is gut-wrenching.
So yeah, that's it. The sentencing phase has begun, and we don't know what it may be. Anywhere from 5 to 99 years is what they is what he can get. I hate to see that for such a young person. So I don't know. It's a sad thing all the way around. But that's my time. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Uh-oh. You hear that? That's the T hitting the pavement. Over here on Word on the Curb, we don't sip, we spill. Word on the Curb, where the T hits the pavement. Let's get into it. It's Angela, your favorite internet bestie, and we got the vibe. We rocking the housewives, politics, and celebrity gossip, all wrapped into one show.